Hey everybody, you're listening to What Are You Doing in Denmark, the podcast that helps you make Denmark make sense. Today, we're joined by a special guest who's made audiences laugh from Copenhagen to London and now back again. Welcome to the show, comedian, author, podcaster, and our hilarious Danish friend, Sofie Hagen.
Thank you.
Yay.
Oh, I like
Welcome
that you were
back.
trying to clap.
I'm
As the
clapping.
only one.
Yeah.
I'm clapping.
Ice
I'm
cold
clapping.
bastards over here didn't give a shit.
Silent,
I
respectful
appreciate
clapping.
Is it okay to clap? It's always okay to clap. I'm assuming people listening are clapping.
Yes,
as well.
everybody's clapping. Yes, in the
Standing
car.
ovation.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, welcome. We're really glad to have you here, and it's such a pleasure. You've done so much from podcasting, writing books, and obviously stand up. For listeners who are maybe new to your work or new to you, tell us a little bit about yourself. How do you introduce yourself, like when you're not on stage, when you're just in a podcast studio?
I think I just go for comedian and author. But I want to put author in like parentheses. But I wrote 2 books. They're out. They're real. But I'm still like, well, I'm not like a proper author. It's what's that? Imposter syndrome,
It's
probably.
imposter syndrome, yeah.
But yeah, just comedian because all the things I do are funny. So comedian kind of encompasses everything. So that's mainly how I ramble about myself.
So
and
it's
then
like,
Danish,
what's your sign?
but
Comedian.
I identify as a comedian.
Yeah.
So yeah, my pronouns are haha. No, cut that. Cut that. That's not funny. I can't say I'm funny and then make that joke.
I like that. Well, to kick things off, we thought it would be fun to welcome you with a little bit of a game.
Oh God. Okay.
If you're ready. But being on a podcast, we thought, and having hosted and co-hosted some in your past, that as an expert on podcasts, you could probably spot the difference between a real one and a fake one.
I hope so.
Yeah?
I hope so, because I'm also competitive and
Yeah, exactly.
a sore loser. So let's see how this goes.
So podcast name number 1 is The Pen Addict.
The pen.
The Pen Addict.
Okay.
2 guys talk about fountain pens, ink, paper, and stationery every week.
Oh, I hope so. I hope that's real.
You're banking on real?
Yeah, they've got to use. If it doesn't exist, we're doing it.
That's
Because
what we
that
want.
is.
Patrick, bring the pens. Yes, it is real.
Yay! I mean, you
I
could.
would love to hear their thoughts on the Lamy fountain pens. And I would love to hear if they have any thoughts on like moleskin versus Rhodia notebooks, because I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Sophie,
I
are
should
you
be a
running
guest.
that podcast?
I want to be a guest of this podcast. Can someone get in touch, please?
We need to find them. But people do have really strong feelings about stationery and pens. So
It's a status symbol.
Oh, interesting.
I mean,
Is
I
it?
think back to Patrick Bateman with the business cards, and
The original stationery freak, as,
Yes,
as we call him in the community of stationery freaks. We
But
look
I
up
was
to him.
obsessed with stationery as well. I'm token American. We went to summer camp and we like traded stationery, and it was like whoever brought the most interesting for, you'd be playing stationary blackjack, and if you lost your, special stationery, it was devastating.
you were gambling with
that's-
stationery.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we
How
took it very
exciting.
seriously, and it was very exciting. And I bet you that podcast has a lot of brand sponsorships from different, there's so many different ones out there that you could, forever be.
So smart.
What are we talking about this week? Oh, well, there's this brand new pen you can write in space. Like, what was that? Was the one that
yeah,
everybody
the upside
wanted
down
for a
one,
while?
yeah.
You can write upside down.
Oh God, this is so. I could keep
See, yeah,
talking.
I
Please.
mean, yeah.
I love
that's
it. What,
just one.
you are listening to the Pen podcast.
The Pen Addict, we've got 4 guests for next week.
And the next one is Soup for Thought, a philosophy podcast where episodes feature a different kind of soup paired with an existential question.
Again, I can see, I can tell. But then again, how many soups are there? There's probably quite a few.
There's a lot of soup.
I hope it exists.
It's fake.
Is it? It shouldn't be.
There could be a soup podcast.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many soups.
Yeah, like tomato soup. Also, why are we alive? Like that's a great opener.
Chicken soup for the soul.
Gazpacho.
What's the meaning?
What's the meaning of life?
Gazpacho.
Guys, who came
And
up with
people-
these?
yeah.
Did you come up with these?
Yeah.
That's
Should we just do it?
You should just make ideas for podcasts. Okay.
It's happening. Yeah. It's happening
Podcast
now.
idea generator. Soups.
Now there's a podcast concept.
Yeah,
a podcast about
a podcast about
podcast.
what
Where we
podcast
just come
we
up
should
with
make.
podcasts. I'm into it.
I think that's what this is, right? A podcast on potential podcasts. How about the third one? A podcast called You're Dead to Me, a comedy podcast about history where a historian and comedian explore people from the past that you probably should know about.
I'm a big fan of Greg Jenner, who's the host of that one. So I do believe that is real. Otherwise, he's playing one hell of a prank.
You're right. It
if
is
you actually
real.
press play
I
and he
was like,
goes,
that
nah, doesn't exist.
I want to listen to that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
canceled
it's
it.
great.
Yeah.
It's really
It
great.
sells itself.
What about Menage a Pod? 3 friends talk about their complicated love lives while reviewing French wine.
I mean that.
So I'm going to make like it's. I think it could exist, but I'm going to make it tactical because it's a mix of something food based and then existential.
I love the way you're staring
So
at Derek.
It sounds a lot like what you made up for the first one you made up. So I'm gonna. It could be real, but I'm gonna try a tactical guess that it's not.
So it's actually listening bugs in Derek's apartment. No, it's fake.
Yeah. That's-
Yeah.
So
I've
you
seen
found my
through-
formula.
Yeah.
Oh
Is this
man,
real? A podcast where you guess?
it's very plausible though.
Yeah, I'd listen.
But damn, that was good. Okay. Crime and nourishment. True crime stories paired with a recipe that somehow connects to the case.
So
Derek's face.
yeah, so I'm based
Flying
on my based on the evidence we've heard so far about how Derek comes up with fake podcasts. A mix of some kind of culinary thing and something else. I'm gonna guess it's fake. Yeah, it's fake.
It's so funny because I got a lot of credit for the first one. Then it was like, you're just repeating yourself. Yeah, I guess I did. Maybe I'll come up with
But what is really interesting is there is a podcast, and I now don't remember. I think it's called like Wine and Crime or something similar,
Yes.
Yeah.
which
Yes.
does exist.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you just picked that one, this would have been a perfect little decoy at
Just
the end.
yeah.
It's with the
red
she's
herring.
in that film, she's in that TV show. You know what I mean? That one.
Yeah. But it seems like we have some podcast ideas. And
I'm into the
maybe I need to
stationery
work.
one.
Did
I'm
you
good
get
at.
100% on that? Did you get
I
all
think
of
I
them?
so.
get,
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really into
See?
the podcasting.
Well done.
Yeah.
I get like an idea for a podcast a week. Like I'm just like, this is it. This is my life. And then I take out I have, of course, an A1 big notepad because I'm into stationery. And that's the one where I
And we're
make
back.
all my- and
to
then
the
I have
pen,
all these.
the pen edit.
Yeah, I was
and
like,
to the
what are we going to talk
stationery
about
edit.
pens again? And then I map the whole thing out. I'm like, I'm going to start this podcast. It's going to be the rest of my life is going to be about this podcast. And then like the next week, I'm like, I had too much work.
Do you use a nice pen when you write on it?
Listen. So I tried the Lamy fountain pens because they're quite nice, but they never really did it for me. But maybe it was also the mix of that and then my moleskin. And then it turns out I actually don't like moleskin. I like rhodia. And then I had this fancy one called Caron de Brun, something French, which is really expensive and fancy and nice. But then I found the cheap Muji pens. They're amazing.
Oh,
so now
good to
I
know.
only use Muji, and they're so cheap.
I mean,
as
I love
well.
Muji. So any
Yeah.
excuse to go back to Muji.
The little refillable as well.
Oh.
Gorgeous.
There you go.
Those with my rhodia notebook. Perfect.
Is it a lined notebook or is it blank?
Lined. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
I need
lined.
some
lined
kind of
too.
structure.
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
a line.
yeah.
So
I'm not an.
otherwise, I'm just freewheeling and scribbling.
And then you have to throw out the whole notebook because you ruined it. Yeah. If you make one mistake in the notebook, it's out.
This is where we insert the Muji sponsorship screen.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I would
This
kill.
episode is
Yeah.
brought to you by Nice Pens.
I mean, I've discovered Muji when I was in Australia, and I was telling all my friends about this very specific Australian brand that you couldn't get anywhere else in the world, and I was going to buy all this stuff from this Australian brand Muji.
Muji.
I think it
Muji
was
in Australia.
Our friend Abby Wamba, she was like, this one like down the street in Copenhagen. I was like, what? I'd bought like plates and stuff. I was like, I'm going to have to carry this all the way back to Denmark because there's no way I can ever find it again.
They had big ones in LA that had clothes and all kinds of like not just the little ones you see at the airport with slippers and notebooks, but it had like the whole thing. And now I'm so glad that for all the things that Copenhagen doesn't have, like I always go over to Sweden for Lush or things like that. This is becoming a sponsored episode, but Muji is like my center of existence. I need my Japanese workwear.
This is where I reveal and that's why I choose to work for them as a PR person. No, I wish. Please hire me.
Me too.
But so Sophie, I'm imagining that you use a lot of nice stationery when you're writing your comedy and your jokes. And we wanted to ask, where did your love for comedy begin?
I remember it being New Year's Eve, and I was 10 years old, and I saw a Danish comedian for the first time on TV, and my grandmother was on it is like it's burned into my memory because it was such a huge moment for me. My grandmother was on the phone with her sister, and I just saw this man like just talk into a microphone and be really funny, and I was laughing, and I couldn't quite understand how this was possible? Like he's just talking, and then I'm laughing, and where's it coming from? And I remember like screaming, like grandmother, come here, because I just needed her to see that this was a thing that was happening, and it felt so huge that was a thing that could happen. And then since then, it's just been like an obsession.
Oh, that's really nice.
That was the first.
And
and also
instilled in you.
Yeah, and it was a Danish comedian called Amin Jensen, and what made him really good was that he was really good at doing voices. Like he would do impressions of all these cartoon characters from Danish children's TV, and it was so good. It was so good. Turns out he actually did the voices for them professionally, so that's why he was so good at it. So we were just like, wow, how can he do it? Oh, he is the voice of that cartoon mouse, so that makes sense actually.
So spot on.
Yeah, he was so good at it.
And he didn't have any scandals in his career. He's been like this kind of icon that got you into it. And
he probably has had a scandal. Who knows? Nothing that I've like noticed. But I'm also being very careful about any because I've been gone for 12 years. So a lot of the stuff that's happened in the past 12 years, I'm like, I don't know anything at all. And I really do. I really feel it. Like when I meet comedians that I knew 12 years ago, and they're like, yeah, my son who's 17. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I thought he was 8 or what? And they're like, you've been gone though. So like, it makes sense that maybe people have.
You were living in an
older.
alternate timeline.
Yeah, I just thought everything was paused
stopped,
while I was gone.
Isn't that crazy?
It's really rude that people kept going. Yeah, they just
Like
sit
it's
around
still
and wait.
2012. Where
Why are we not waiting for me before things happen?
When did you start doing comedy stuff? Did it start with stand-up?
Yeah, 2010 in Danish in Copenhagen. And then I moved after 2 years. I started at Huset in Copenhagen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The 22nd of June,
Wow.
2010. It was big. It was really big. It was, I mean, not for the world, but for me personally. It was huge. Guys, listen, the Danish history was made that day. Yeah.
And you were doing comedy in Danish, and then you switched to English when you went to London.
Yeah, there was like a comedian who ran these English comedy shows in Copenhagen, which he probably still does. And he was doing like an all-female lineup, and he'd had like a dropout, and I was like, oh, I want to try. And he was like, sure, you're on. It was like at the Irish pub, I think, and it was in front of, I don't know, 200 people. It was mad. So I translated all my stuff and tried that, and it went well as something can do when you do it for the first time. And it was just so much fun. It was just so fun. So then when I went on a holiday to London, I signed up for some open mics because I wanted to try it again. And then I stayed. Then I ended up staying.
How has that changed telling jokes in Danish and English? Giving I think you have more words to use in English. At least that's what I'm told. And like, was that kind of like a mind fuck? Sorry for swearing. I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Because something that might work in Danish, then you had to kind of like zazz it up in English, or I don't know.
The other way
how,
around.
It's the other way around.
If something is Danish is such a hard language to be funny in because it's not. You have to find a really specific rhythm, and the words are so clunky because you can't choose between a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. So you have to choose the words that have that meaning, and sometimes they're not the funny words. Where in English you can use all kinds of different words. So once you have a joke that works in Danish, translating that to English will almost always work. That's fairly easy. And then you also have the English like tonation and the rhythm that is quite comedy suitable. The other way around is how I can't just take my English jokes and translate them to Danish. That's like very random. Like if the words are funny in Danish, then it might work. But other than that, I don't find that in Denmark I can just do I'm saying this in a funny way. It's not really funny, but I'm like saying it in a funny way. They don't buy that. They're like, no, it's not funny.
It's one of the hardest things creatively because I've worked in communications, PR, and everyone that has been trying to translate English press releases into Danish copy is like, I don't know how to do this because it sounds so bad.
Yeah.
And so it really is so much more of a skill to be able to make something sound good.
Yeah,
so
it's hard.
I give you a lot of credit for doing something in 2 languages where you have to completely kind of, it's harder in your own native language.
Yeah. Well, that's probably one of the reasons why I stopped gigging in Danish after, I think I tried for a couple of years to do both in both languages, in both countries. And it was just like, I knew that it was going to be a full-time job to do comedy well in Danish because I was still learning how to do stand-up. I was still new. And it just didn't make sense to try and then be bad at it and not be able to live here and do it full-time. So I just kind of stopped. And now I'm trying to do it again, and I'm relearning how to do it, and it feels very strange.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
What was the scene like when you were starting out here? Like, were there a lot of people trying to do what you were doing, or did you have like a community, or was
it was really, I remember it quite nostalgically because it was so great. Like, it was so, the sort of, what I was told was that at this point, stand-up had only been a thing in Denmark for like 20, 30 years, maybe only 20 years. And that means that no one really knew stand-up. So whenever we did a show, we had to expect that half the audience had never seen stand-up before, and they didn't quite know what it was. They didn't feel safe doing it. So it was in everyone's best interest to be really fucking good. Sorry, swearing.
Yeah,
to be really darn good.
I started it with the censorship.
No,
sorry.
no, I'm fully in.
I always click like does not contain. And they can figure it
This
out.
one is very explicit.
Yeah.
It's a bad boy
We're
episode.
talking pens and fuck.
So there was this like communal responsibility that we're all good. We have to all be good because we can't afford to lose the audience if we're not good. So there would be so much working together. And I remember just the amount of times I would go off stage and there'd be like 7 comedians who had all watched, and they all had notes like, oh, don't do that joke, that's really hack, or like, you're better than that, or oh, with that one you can say this, or like, you can do that in this way, or like, try working on this, and like just all these like bits of advice, and you were just learning and going, oh my god, this is amazing, thank you. And you would sit after the shows, and you would talk ideas, talk jokes with each other, and discuss jokes and ideas, and it was just this like, yeah, it felt like a real community, like a real like, we're all in this together, and we're all just being very creative. Which when I then came to London, absolutely not. I think it was just not. You don't comment on each other's jokes unless you are really, really, really close friends.
Wow.
And
that whole part of it I didn't even think about. Yeah.
Yeah, I went out, I saw someone, Joel Darmid, comedian Joel Darmid, do a show, and I thought, oh, I have a really funny tag for one of his jokes. I just like walked up, I'd never met him before, and I was like, hey, I have an idea. And he looked at me like I was scum. Like, what the and I was just like, what is that? I'm just doing the thing you're meant to do. And now if someone did that to me in England, I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, because it's just like not the culture. So it was really, really cool in the beginning. People really looked after each other, and I'm really lucky that I learned to do stand-up in Denmark, because in London, it didn't seem like the people who started out had the same support, because there's so many, you don't see each other again. Like, you can meet someone at an open mic and then you don't see them for years, right? Where in Denmark, we were all seeing each other every night at all of the open mics, so you kind of had to get to know each other and
it's very communal.
Make friends.
Yeah, I think that's super special and kind of very Danish too. Is like you're like willing to give feedback and be and like work together and like you said, communal. And I guess in other places it might be considered competition, or this is my space, and it's just so much different. It's just
so vast. Like, London is so big, and it's like, you do an open mic and then you go home because you have to get on the tube, and then it's like an hour and a half to get home. So no one like hangs out afterwards because no one can ride their bike home in 10 minutes. So no one really, and then there's just so many open mics. So it's just like hundreds and hundreds of open mics. So what are the odds that you'll even, like, how can you even begin a relationship with other people, because when will you ever see them again? So it's just so much bigger. I mean, people find their cliques and people find their groups, but usually that wouldn't happen until, you're definitely doing this full time, or, you do a festival with someone and then you live together for that whole festival, and then you get to know each other, or like you share a show or you have a podcast. But it wasn't like it was in Denmark where, well, we're only like 100 comedians, so we see each other all the time and we know every single thing about each other. We've all slept together, and like this is like.
I don't think I knew why. Did you mention why you moved to London? What drew you there?
It wasn't a decision. Like, it wasn't like I am now going to move to London. I went there on holiday to do these open mics and to watch musicals. And
nice.
I mean, the musicals was the main thing, and then I did open mics on the side, and it was just so great. It was so new. It was so challenging. It was so fun and so big, and I couldn't believe how much I was learning. And then when I came back home, I was like, oh God, I want to go back, and I'd already met some people who'd offered me gigs, so I went back for another week, and that week I ended up just staying, because it was like, well, I was offered a gig next Wednesday, so I have to stay another couple of days, and well, then I was offered a gig the week after, so I have to stay another week, and then all of a sudden I'd been there for, the first time I went was in February, and I moved there properly in September. So throughout that whole time, I was kind of living in two places, not quite knowing, but couldn't really go back home to Denmark because I was having all these gigs and making these connections. And yeah, it was, even when I moved there properly and gave up my flat in Copenhagen, I was like, yeah, but I don't know, like eventually I'll, who knows if it's 6 months or, it was never like I'm now doing this. And then last year when I moved back home, I was just like looking at all the stuff I'd accumulated, and I was like, oh, I moved here with like a suitcase, and now I like live here. Like I have a shed full of things. That's not okay.
So was it London that you enjoyed, or the comedy scene?
It was mostly the comedy scene. I like London. I really do like London. I've now not outgrown it, but it's no longer my thing, I think, in the same way. I mean, I would love to be, I like the idea of just being a tourist there, but...
How did you realize that? I mean, obviously over
very
time.
Slowly. Yeah, very slowly. I don't think I really... like, me moving back to Denmark was slow, because it never felt like an option. So I don't think I was really honest with myself, because I was like, well, I'm never moving back, so this is where I live and I love it. I love sitting on the tube underground in the heat or cold, and people, it's really, how lovely. I love paying all this rent for nothing, and oh, there's a mouse, that's fun, I love that.
A rat.
I was really just really telling myself how much I liked it. But I also, at the same time, just felt so homesick. Oh, the most embarrassing fact is how much money I spend on importing Danish food.
Ooh, I need to know which ones.
Oh, like tinned leverpostej, like dåse leverpostej. Yeah, red soda, because that tasted of Denmark. That was like, it's like a very Danish
Red
childhood
soda?
thing. Yeah, you just call it red soda.
What is it?
I think it's like raspberry. It's like the cheap one. You get it for like 4 kroner, Harbo.
Oh, yeah.
Like
yes.
it's just a very, very red, and it's just very red. The taste
You
is
were
red.
importing some Harbo red
Oh,
soda.
yeah,
The
fully.
taste is red.
I would go into, they have Ole and Sten Lavkagehus, so they have that in London
Yeah.
now. So I would travel in, buy like 4 loaves of rye bread, and then freeze it so I could have rye bread every
Yeah.
day. Like the remoulade, Danish mayonnaise. Like there's this pickled beetroot, pickled red cabbage, all pickled pickles.
Yeah.
You know the ones. And I would I missed it so much. And I think the moment I realized, okay, I think it's time to go, was when I was at I was watching football on the screen between Denmark and England, and I was the only Danish person in the room. And this was July last year, and I don't care about football. I don't care. What's important to know for this story is that I don't care about football, and I don't care about royals. I don't care about that. But I was watching this football match, and then Denmark starts singing the national anthem, and the camera like pans over Frederik, and I just heard myself like a guttural scream go like, "That's my king!" I was like, what is happening? What? And everyone was like looking at me, and I was like, this is bad. Like something is missing. Like I think it's time to go.
Yeah.
You booked your flights that night, or
I think it's time to go. Yeah.
yeah, wow.
Regarding food, I was back in London a while ago, and there's a brand called Warburton's, and they have the whitest loaf ever, and it's called the Danish loaf.
Oh,
And I remember being in the supermarket and seeing it.
Yeah.
And I'm not Danish, but that made me angry. It was like the feeling that an Italian must get when you put pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
I was standing there like, this is the least Danish thing I've ever seen.
Oh, furious. You have no idea what you're
Paper
talking
white.
about.
I mean, you squash it and it has no spring.
Yeah.
It's just...
I mean, delicious, but not Danish.
They had a really good cheap rye bread mix at IKEA that was discontinued. My husband's Danish, and so that was our like lifeline for rye bread in the US. And now when I've lived here for 5 years, and we just came back from the US, and I've been eating so much leverpostej. I'm integrated, I'm assimilated, because like that's all I want to eat, which is so I go through phases with it. Sometimes it's like all I want, and now I'm in this like crave stage, but I miss like, because I've been eating a lot of white bread in the US and a lot of fried and whatever else things I've missed, but like I just want like the Danish rye bread.
Yeah, really, that warms my heart.
Yeah, I did not know about the red soda. I've lived here for how long?
I mean, I don't think I don't know if it tastes good. That's how I feel about a lot of Danish food.
It might be
I'm
like an
I don't know
era
if it's-
thing where it was
yeah,
like it reminds
it's
you
a childhood
of like,
thing.
yeah.
It was very much like you got red soda at like children's birthday parties when you were a child yourself. I didn't just go for fun when I was in my 20s.
Isn't it, if you mix it with booze, don't you call it a brandbier, like a fire engine?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I can't remember. Somebody told me that. You mix it
Yeah.
with
Somebody
something.
told me
After,
that. I
after
don't know
you've
about
had
it.
one, you don't remember usually.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's like Ferner Branca and Rule Soda
Yeah, of
or
course it
something
is.
That
awful.
sounds like
Something
not a
licorice,
mix.
licorice and red soda probably. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
It is funny how I think over time it fades, those things that you sort of crave and miss. But then there's other things that I really never wanted or was that into that like royalty or football,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
then suddenly you're like, I think we've talked about this before. Like you're just nostalgic for things that weren't even like
Yeah.
very important to you before.
Yeah.
But I'm like, gosh, I really want, I don't know, buffalo wings or something like that because they're not good here, and I really want
Yeah,
this one
when
bar
it's
that
gone, then
and
you're
it's-
like, you kind of like put something in like the hole to replace it. Like during COVID, I saw like an old a drink 40 ounce of beer by a pier, and I was like, oh, I miss drinking 40s by the pier. I'm like, I never did that, but it was like a simpler time when I was boozing it up at the pier. So I think we do that culturally as well without even realizing. It's like this sense of place and nostalgia and like what is feeling cozy. And
you feel like nobody understands this one thing that I did in my, and it's like, yeah, it's just like red soda. But
Do you have like, because there's a lot of supermarkets that have like an American section.
yes,
Is that offensive? Is that like a good thing?
It's
Is that
like dusty pumpkin pie in a can.
if you can find pumpkin. If you can find pumpkin in a can, like canned pumpkin, that's I almost never find that. And if you do, it's like way more expensive.
Yes, very expensive.
And people really do freak out about it in like the Facebook groups and stuff. They're like, "Oh, I found this. Like, DM me and I'll let you know where it is." And but
It's mostly stuff you can find in Normal. It's like, junk food, candy. There'll be like a pancake mix, but it's from Belgium. It'll be like American pancakes, like grandma's American pancakes from Belgium.
yeah, like mac and cheese, like in a pot. Like it's never as good. And I think sometimes they call it like I don't. Like,
But what would be the real thing? Because you're saying, I'm like, yeah, those are all the American things. Like, what would be the actual things you'd want?
like boxed macaroni and cheese is good, but it's never like what that brand is.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
not
they're
like
trying
an
to knock
Annie's
it
or
off
something.
Of,
It's like,
Right.
yeah.
there's a company called Kraft, and that's like sort of the one that everybody grows up with.
Right.
And they're trying to make it in a blue box, and they call it like Bluebell or something like that, which is not a thing. But you can tell what they're going for.
Right. That's the same as when in
Not getting sued.
London they would have like Swedish things and be like Scandinavia, which is technically true, but I'm like, that's not the thing though I want.
Yeah.
This is not the Scandinavia I want.
It's close. They're trying. I see
Yeah.
where they're going, but it's not
Yeah,
exactly.
we'd had like in Little, I think they had they started having Danish weeks before I moved, and again all the Facebook groups lost it, and we would all go to Little and just got like anything Danish we just get, and it was Lurpak was always a thing. That's thank God.
That's the gold standard.
But I think what did they have like a kind of cheese? I think there was like a specific kind of cheese,
Dando.
flødeboller.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
That's
beautiful.
fun that they had Danish week. I feel like
Yeah, we were all like, and then people were like, we have to buy all of it so that they know to do it again. Like all the Danes like went together and was like,
So Danish.
make sure they know that they should always have the Danish things.
Did you gravitate towards other Danes in London? Like, do you travel in packs? Yeah, because I feel like you either travel in packs or you're like, that's the opposite of what I want
Yeah,
to do.
no one.
Yeah.
I remember doing I did a podcast for the BBC where I met my future co-host when we were about to discuss whether we were going to do it or not, and she said, "Oh my God, like our producer is from Denmark, so like she's gonna love you." And I was like, "That's not how it works. we don't really have that. Like, yay, you're Danish. It's more like, you're Danish, okay?
Yeah, like what are you doing here?
Yeah, well, why are you here? But she did end up being great, and we did end up having things. But we also talked about that when we first met, like. So, hi, yeah, I just needed to find out what kind of person you were. Okay, no, you're nice? Okay, good. Because not everyone is. Like, I was like, yeah, that's the Danish way. We're not like, yay, Denmark.
That's my king.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to do that initial check where you're like, where are you from? Oh, yeah, so do you know? Yeah, okay, cool. We know the same people then.
I think the worst for that is when you go to a house party and people invite you and then they'll point out people of your own nationality and they're like, Liam's from England, and you're like, fuck Liam. Because you're standing with Liam and you're like, if this was England, we would never talk to each other. But now we're in Denmark, so and then they're like, you know,
That's the whole thing about making friends too. Just because you're like from the same place, like would we ever be friends in like back where we're from? Probably not. But
it's the worst on
some
holiday
people.
as well, though. It's like that because you're sitting on a sun lounger next to somebody talking about whichever terrible town they're from. We were on holiday last autumn, and they're like, "Yeah, we're from Barnsley," and in my head, I'm like, "I'm from London, and all we know about Barnsley is it was bombed during the war because it's so terrible." Why have they
bombed
rebuilt it?
because it was terrible?
I know it's the North.
I love that.
It's the North.
It's the North.
Like
they dropped
the
a lot of
Germans
bombs.
doing you a favor.
Exactly.
Hey, if you just point out which places you want us to bomb, we'll happily do it.
A place called Barnsley. It was really awkward because they were from the North and I'm from London, and then I mentioned
yeah.
I'm from London, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah, never mind.
How dare you?
oh my god."
No, it's funny. I think it's maybe a lot of other places you kind of have the same experience where just because you're from a country, if you're from a different region, and even a smaller country like Denmark, it's like if somebody's from Nordjylland and you grew up in Copenhagen, you're gonna have a very different existence. You may relate to somebody from London more than you would somebody from I don't know, name another.
Slagelse.
So because sometimes I think like I'm from a big city on the East Coast, but if you tell me that you're from the Midwest of the United States, I'd be like, I don't like. We have nothing in common.
Listen, I'm from the Midwest.
We have nothing in common. So I'm leaving. I adore you.
Well, it must be even worse when it's the US, right? Because it's like, oh my God, do you know Billy? He's in Texas. And where were you, Missouri? Okay, cool. You must know each other, right? Like
People have actually done that to me, which I think is so funny. It's so huge. It's such a huge place.
Yeah, I'm like I have nothing
That's
in common
so
with a Texan. Like I think Texas is great. I've had fun there. I like going there, but yeah, I'm like no, it's so different from where I grew up. But
well, probably even like within Texas or
Yeah,
even
even
within
within
like
Texas,
Houston,
yeah.
there's probably
It's
like, well,
huge.
you're from North Houston, fuck you, I'm from South Houston or whatever.
So you were talking a bit about trying to get back into comedy in Danish.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I mean, you said it's a bit harder to do this in your home country, and you've been here, you've been back since December. So have you been kind of starting from scratch, or are you like tapping back into that community you had before you left, or are they all different, or like how is the restarting?
Well, I've only done 3 gigs in Danish since I moved back. So I'm in the very, 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 very beginning and I don't really know anything yet. Like I'm still trying and I'm starting over, like I'm writing new material from scratch in Danish. But yeah, I haven't really seen it. There's new people on all the lineups I do. Like I've never met them before, which is so surreal because you're used to like, if there's a person I don't know, that's because they're new and they've just started. But then I do an open mic and it's someone who's been going for 10 years and they're like really good and they have hundreds of thousands of followers. And I'm like, wait, but how I don't know who you are. So how can you like, it's very surreal to just be starting over on a circuit where you feel like you know it when you don't, because you haven't been here for 12 years. So it's very exciting.
It might be a tough question to answer since you're just starting out, but I feel like I've noticed with smaller countries that I've worked with, if you're a musician, for example, and you make it abroad and then you come back, like you get this badge of honor, like, oh, like I think you're more exciting now because you've made it somewhere else. Do you feel like Denmark is like that? No, it's like, it's the opposite maybe, or like, why did you leave?
Yeah.
I'm
Like, how dare
probably
you?
closer to the opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really?
I saw a really good example of this that when I saw this, I thought, oh yeah, this is Denmark. I was doing one of these like late night talk show things, God Aften Danmark or Aften Show, one of those. And they had, and I don't remember who it was, but it was an actress. She was a guest because the night before she had won this huge movie award, like some kind of international movie award for like best actress. So they were having her on the show to talk about having won this huge international award. And she literally just got off the plane and went straight to the studio. She had her award with her. And the host said, the first question was, wow, so you got to meet Meryl Streep. What was that like? And then she had to go like, oh, that was very exciting. And, you know, Meryl is very lovely, blah, blah. And then she went, well, we actually have something for you. And then they turned on the screen and it was her brother who had a similar award in his hand. And he went, hey, sis, just to remind you, I also won this, just so you know. Just a little reminder, I won this award too. And she was like, ha, 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 ha. And that was it. And I was like, this is what it is.
It's
They
the tall
could have
poppy
asked her-
syndrome
Yeah,
thing.
they could
It's
have
like
asked her, oh my God, like what was it like, the process? What's your process as an actress? What was the best experience
Instead,
working on
it's
this
like
one?
kind of shitting on.
Yeah, we just need you to know, like,
in a jokey way.
Yeah, just a reminder, Meryl Streep is better than you, and also your brother won this. Like, don't get too cocky. And I just remember thinking, yeah, that's kind of what we do.
That's where the humor part, like, it's like, are you the joke, or are you in on the joke? You know, it's like kind of that, like, similar to British humor, I feel like, where you sometimes can't tell if someone's like messing with you or not, or like it's like in this kind of negative, jabby way that is taken funny with a sense of humor, I guess. But I think that's interesting.
It's like, we'll give you your flowers, but we're also going to bring you down a peg.
Just to remind you that you're not better.
Yeah.
Like, what do you...
I obviously don't know so much about it. I'm not so involved in the Danish scene, but I think that Janteloven is so strong in the comedy community. There's sometimes these really weird things where, like, I'll be honest, when I saw you at that open mic not so long ago, I was in awe. Like, I love your stuff, and I watched a lot of your stuff online. So I was like, when I saw Sofie Hagen on the lineup, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to sit in the audience, I'm going to watch the show.
Oh, thank you.
So it's like those beautiful moments. But then sometimes in the comedy community, you have this thing where there's like a person who you really admire, and everyone else is like, you know? And it's really funny in Denmark that there's this sort of feeling like we can never show off too much. And not even show off, but like celebrate each other. You know?
But that's the thing, because we look at it as, there was a Danish comedian who tried to move to London around the same time as me. And when you move to London, you have to ask for spots, and no one knows who you are because they don't know who you are. So you have to send in like, hi, my name is Sofie. And then you have to say, like, sell yourself. So I'd say like, not lie, but just say things that sounded bigger than they were. Like, I did morning radio in Denmark. They don't know that it was like a shitty little radio show. Like, I did morning radio in Denmark. I did this. I've headlined on this Danish comedy night, which was an open mic. But you had to kind of sell yourself. And this other comedian, he was like, no, I'm just going to say my name is this. And he'd been on TV. Like, he would have gotten all of the spots. But he was just like, no, I'm just going to say, hi, my name is this. I'd like a spot. I was like, but no one's like going to say anything bad about you if you tell them. Like, you're not lying. You're just saying, I have done these things. I am established. He was like, no. And I would get all these spots because I just said what I was doing, and he wouldn't get them. And I was like, you're so much better than me. You should be getting these things. But that felt like that, like Janteloven. I was like, no, I couldn't possibly.
I can't brag.
Yeah. Which is, and that's the thing, and it's not bragging. Right? And it's like, we should be able to say those things. So I do get that. Like, I remember I once went back in the beginning, and I got a phone call from my agent, and I was like, oh, sorry, I have to take this to my agent. And 3 comedians went, ooh. I was like, oh, okay, well then I don't know what to. I mean, that's such a basic thing. Like,
thought a lie and just be like, it's my doctor.
I'm sick.
Have warts.
I'm very, very sick. Yeah, I'm disgusting. Then they'd be like, okay, good. So it is a weird thing, yeah.
Yeah, I think we sometimes have that kind of same hurdle as internationals here too, because you hear a lot of people say, "Okay, I have to network. This is how, like, what I have to do to get a job or find, community or things like that." And you also have to navigate that fine line of like, I don't want to oversell myself because I don't want to come off like I'm boasting, but I also don't have a network of friendships that lasts my whole life. And it's interesting to hear somebody doing that reverse, where they kind of think that, oh, well, I just, I'll just know people and they'll trust me. And I don't have to do that selling of myself because it isn't very Danish. But it's hard to convert and then kind of learn how to work across that cultural
and also
divide.
Figuring out when should you just go, fuck this, I'm just going to do it anyways. Or like, when are you just going to, hey, listen, my agent is calling. Like, what do you want me to say? I'm going to pick up are you going to start lying and be, like, how much are you going to let it kind of hold you down? Or, because I also like aspects of it, like I like the idea of, what did they say? Someone said this thing about Janteloven, how it was always about how you shouldn't think you're better than anyone else. Yeah. But it's never about like, you never look outwards at like, at like how it could benefit all of you. It's always about you have to feel bad.
Yeah.
And not about how you could make other people, like maybe other people are special. That's never the feeling. It's always like, no, you have to feel bad about yourself. But
it's like you're pushing everybody to the middle.
Yeah, it's like, we should all just feel really bad. Which is like, okay, I mean, I like
Sounds
humility.
like the Catholic religion.
A bit, yeah.
Well, you're probably onto something. We're not religious, however.
Because in a way, it's like even saying, oh, it's my agent. Maybe, I mean, it's true. You're not lying. But maybe that person that heard that may be like, oh, how did you get an agent? What did you do? And you're obviously very open to helping people and sharing,
Yeah.
and so you do kind of lose that.
But it's also
not
like
a bad thing to have
in
an
the
agent.
UK, everyone has an agent. You can quite easily get an agent. I'm not saying, oh, this is my very important big agent.
Right.
It's just literally a guy who
Like the
answers
big phone
emails.
with like the.
It's my pager. It's my pager. Yeah, it's a bit like, oh, I'm not. Oh, that's not a brag. That's not a brag in the UK. Like it's very interesting. There's like what people like. A lot of Danish comedians seem to have this admiration of doing the Comedy Store in London. Like, oh my God, the Comedy Store. But when you do comedy in London, the comedy like I wouldn't do the Comedy Store. I don't want to do the Comedy Store. That's not. I don't like the audiences. It's not my kind of comedy. It doesn't. It's just not. That's not a big deal. But because we've heard stories about it in Denmark as being like, wow, but it's the oldest club. It's like, oh yeah, but once you're there, no one cares. That's not really a thing. So it is this quite weird thing of I could say, oh yeah, I did the Comedy Store, and that would sound like I'm bragging, but actually I'm saying, I had a mediocre weekend. It's very interesting. Those like, but then I'm not allowed to say
versus reality.
Yeah, but I can't say that. I can't be like, oh guys, you think the Comedy Store's it's actually no big deal, like, because then I'm an asshole. So it's a lot of balancing and also having to accept that, oh, I'm gonna come across as an asshole for a long time probably until I acclimatize.
Like, why are you responsible for how somebody interprets you having an agent or performing at the Comedy Store? Like, you're not responsible for their feelings, but somehow you are.
But somehow you want people to like you.
Yeah.
you want people to want to be around you and talk to you. So you do also want to be like, well, how can I say the things that have been very true for me for 12 years without them thinking I'm an asshole, or then accepting maybe I'm an asshole and that's fine.
Have you found that, like, coming back, that's a bit of a adjustment, like, or in any other ways where you've had to sort of
I think it's
change your behaviors?
way more in my head.
Yeah.
I think I don't actually know. I mean, but it's in my. I'm very aware of it. Like, do I sound like an asshole? How do I say this? Like, is this a thing that they would read in this way? Because I just don't know anymore. I've been away for 12 years. I have no idea.
It's really wild to hear a Dane say this, because this has been my experience for so long, is like hiding the weirdest parts of me because I want to not be completely weird, like to whoever. Like,
what does weird mean? What is that?
Well, my personality is entirely based on cultural reference points that nobody gets here. And I didn't realize that was a very American thing and a very kind of, so all of the more clever quips and quotes and things don't mean anything. They just make me the strange person that's quoting some weird thing that nobody knows. So I don't also tell them about like my tarot practice and my witchy stuff, because it's just too much, and I feel there's a general feeling, and again, maybe it's in my head or maybe it's on the internet or in real life, that Americans are too much sometimes. So I have to kind of, I'm trying to regain my power in certain aspects, but to hear a Dane feel that way as well after being away and also feeling kind of like the odd person out is refreshing, but also, it's like therapy a little bit, So.
Well, I remember being here, like when I went back, I don't know which year, but one of the years I went back to Denmark for like Christmas, and I was standing at Vesterport station, and I looked around me, and I was like, it was after a show, so there was, like, I don't know, 50, 60 people on the platform, and every single person was wearing a black coat. And I was wearing a red coat, and I just sat, and I'd worn that red coat for a long time, in London many times. And this was the first time I was like, oh no, I shouldn't be wearing this coat. Like, I am very, very outside of this. Everyone else was wearing black, and I was like, oh, and that felt that Danish to me. That felt very like, oh no, you're not allowed to wear red.
Out.
Yeah.
There's the famous image that's circulated on Anna's Hemmingsen that somebody took on an S-toll, where it's 5 girls sitting in a row that don't know each other, and they all have the same hair and the same jacket and the same shoes. And the caption was "Glitch in the Matrix." And it is true, when you're in
the
Denmark
unknown
that
sorority.
long.
It's like what all the sorority chicks looked like in college, but like there's just this unspoken sorority or fraternity of like everybody wearing the same stuff.
And I think that's why you automatically feel like, oh, if what I am is more or less or different than this, and we can't quite put it into words, we can't quite see what this is, but we kind of know. We know that this isn't talking about witchy stuff. So like, I'm going to be less of that. But we can't, like, no one said it out loud, or like, You don't quite,
that's
and you
the
feel a
thing.
bit crazy.
Everyone got the memo, but
Yeah.
like through like the Matrix, like you
Yeah,
said, like
it's just,
everyone
it's
is
just a
plugged
feeling.
into
It's like,
something.
I'm not going to wear this jacket, but I don't know why, but I definitely shouldn't wear this jacket. That being said, I've wanted to put up an Instagram story for a while asking for advice because I really want to find like Danish, like woo-woo things. I want to find like a psychic. I want to find tarot people. I want to find, but that has also stopped me because I'm like, oh God, should I just put like, it's for a thing, so it sounds like it's like a professional thing, or like it's for a documentary, because I can't just say, I kind of want to see a psychic, because I think that would be really fun, because they'd be like, excuse me. Whereas I feel like I could do that in London. People would be like, oh yeah, here's mine. Here's my psychic.
Same with me in California, you know, which is like, oh, like I think the same, like, oh, well, California, woo woo, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, but we can talk offline.
I need your
Don't worry,
intel.
guys. It's for my agent. I really
My agent really wants to find like a witch for me.
Talking of anti-Janteloven and celebration, you have a show coming up in August at
Yes.
Comedy Zoo. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your process, about your preparation? How were you inspired for that show?
I'm inspired to sell a bunch of tickets. It's
My
a
psychic says it's going to work.
it's a Sofie and Friends. So I've gathered my best friends. Hi, Derek.
Oh, yeah.
So Derek's on the lineup,
Hey.
trying
How
stand up for the very first time.
Yeah. First time, never done it. Very, Janteloven. Yes. I'm probably going to be terrible.
Yeah,
yes,
we
so.
don't know because I've had to go through his agent. He refuses to talk to me directly. No, so it's me and Derek, and then a very funny comedian that I know from back in the day called Molly Thornhill. And the theme was meant to be like it's queer. We're all queer, but it's not really written anywhere. So now it feels more like a bit of a secret or a random coincidence.
I'm going to really gay it up, though.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah. We really have to be able to tell.
Yeah.
And so it's just gonna be like a fun. Like I'm gonna MC and introduce these two great comedians, and we'll just have fun. I want it to be like a nice, like community experience, because we're three very different comedians, but it's gonna be in English, and it's gonna be fun. Yeah. I'm excited. It's 3 nights. It's the 14th, 15th, and 16th. So
Yeah.
Wow, exciting.
people have no excuse not to come.
Yes, and it's also Pride Week in Copenhagen, so it'll be a
during
nice,
Pride Week, yeah.
a nice part of your Pride program, and
Supporting queer comedians
Yeah.
at Comedy Zoo in Copenhagen with Derek and
She's
Sophie
saying,
and
she's
Molly.
saying
Molly.
Sue, so she's repatriated. Comedy Sue. But did you ever stop saying Sue?
I didn't. I just laughed because you said something. I didn't know the reference at all. I don't know what you're saying.
Yes, so zoo instead of Sue.
Sue.
Like Danes say like an S for a Z.
Oh, we do.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
you mean a
So-
Z?
Yeah,
my God.
Yes.
Oh, now my brain just broke.
But in the UK, if you were to say we're going to the zoo, would you make it a
zoo.
more, or is
We're
it?
going to the. I'm going to
Tell
the
me.
zoo. I'm going to the
Is
zoo.
it a soft Z for you, Conrad? Soft Z.
I think only Sophie, who's lived in the UK and Denmark, can do the soft Z
Yeah.
fusion.
But I'm also like so unaware of what I say.
So it feels
How
like
I speak.
I thought I really understood English until I came to this
Listen,
podcast.
I really thought moving to the UK, I thought, oh wow, I'm going to be fluent in 2 languages. No, I'm now bad at 2 languages.
that's
Same with me.
It's wild.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just kind of forget things and say things weirdly, and it's so I've got, and also I have something about hearing languages. Like I can't hear dialects. Like I'll talk to someone for ages and they'll go like, yeah, so I'm going to go back to Australia. I'm like, oh, you're Australian, and they're like, yeah. I'm like I can't tell. I
I'm
can't
pretty
tell
bad at it too.
accents, dialects. So there's certain things I don't hear. So that probably also comes through my the way I speak.
My wife is from Hungary, and it was funny. Her friend was visiting recently, and they were speaking Hungarian together. And I noticed that when she would pronounce things, not like zoo, but like that kind of vibe, they changed it. So in Hungarian, they don't say Instagram, they say Instagram. And when she was speaking, she would repronounce all of these things in the Hungarian way. And afterwards, I mentioned it to her, and she said, I sort of notice I do it, I sort of don't. But she says that if you pronounce it in the Englishy way, in Hungary, people judge the hell out of you. So you're like, Muji, 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 Instagram, and they're like, ooh, you think you're so much better because you've learned how to say it properly.
But they're okay with Muji, the Japanese brand.
The Australian brand.
They're like, I really want to buy a pen now.
Muji, Instagram. Yeah, no, I get that. There's a weird. I mean, but there's so much meaning in dialects, and it took me many years to learn, like in London, like which dialects, like how people look at you, because in the UK class is so important, like what class you belong to, and people were always so confused about me because they couldn't place me because my accent. They were like, wait, I can't hear if you're rich. So I would have I would be eating in a restaurant and the waiter would come over and he said like, oh, how do you want to pay? Cash, card, or do you want to do the dishes? And I was broke, so I was like, oh my God, I'd love to do the dishes. Is that possible? I love that. And he just went like, no, I'm so sorry. And I just realized, oh, you thought I was rich and that we could laugh at the fact that some people can't afford things. Oh, we were going to do a thing there. You thought I was like posh and I could be like,
putting on rubber gloves.
Imagine. And I was like, right. So he for a moment there read me differently. I was like, okay, that's... But people can't place me.
It was the red jacket, I probably.
I was just like...
I just want to see the look on his face. He's like, oh God, you're poor.
He was
he just starts sanitizing his hands.
He was like, oh my God, I'm
security,
so sorry.
Yes, we've talked a lot about Janteloven fitting in, moving somewhere, feeling out of place, moving back and feeling out of place. If you had one piece of advice for, especially like the internationals listening that are here, what would that be?
I would try and find people who like what you like. For example, if you like comedy, come to Comedy Zoo on August 14, 15, and 16.
Yes.
No, but I think doesn't that ring true a little bit, that you find like something you like to do, pottery or witchcraft or comedy or improv or whatever it is, and then surely that's a place to find your people. Yeah. And also, I don't know, I think it feels weird to be out of place, but also we really need people who are different.
Yeah.
Because also I think it's really good to have some red coats. Some places. I love a black coat, but hey, what if there were more colors?
I love that.
Yeah. Like, it's nice to be, you stand out and that can be a bit weird, but hey, what if there's someone else who like really wishes they could wear their green coat and then they see you wearing a red one and they'll be like, okay, next time I'm going to wear my green coat, and then maybe things will be even more fun and interesting. I don't know. Does that count as a piece of advice?
That's perfect. I love that. Yeah. Be yourself. That got you here. That's what makes you special.
And also the conformity of it is it's always based on fear. Yeah. People being so afraid of standing out, being so afraid of being alone, being so afraid of, the spotlight being on them, and that's a bad thing. And so like, they're really most of the time just jealous that you dared to do the thing. And that's kind of pathetic. That's kind of pathetic.
It's more about them than on you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, everyone just wants to fit in, and that's why people react the way they do, I think. And sometimes you just have to look at them with compassion when they're like, oh, can't believe you're saying that. You go, poor you. You're probably not happy.
I love it. That's great advice. And of course, also the advice to check out Comedy Zoo on the 14th, 15th, and 16th of August. We'll have the links in the show notes and description, so you guys can make sure you get a ticket and come see me and Sofie and Molly. Yeah.
And the ticket links might even work. And then if they don't, check again, and then maybe check again.
We'll use a sidekick.
Yeah.
Maybe just rock up and throw money at them, and then maybe you will get in.
Yeah. And on promo, we also have the What Are You Doing in Denmark live show on the 9th of August in Odense and the 9th of September in Copenhagen, also at Comedy Zoo. And we've got a lot of fun games and all kinds of things. It's like a late night show all in one, and you get to see us record an episode, which is cool.
This has been a therapy sesh. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for listening and watching, everybody. Hi.
Hi.